stake make up their mind with Gabriel Bortoleto, confirmed as Nico Hülkenberg's teammate for 2025. But does this leave 1 or 2 spots left to be filled next season? For Racing News 365, my name is Nick Goldie, and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, for this special F1 update by Lee's editor Ian Parks. Ian, we've got to start with the big news of this week. Gabriel Bortoleto, of course, the driver who's leading the F2 drivers' title, known for being a McLaren Junior, is off to stake F1 next season.
And for no money. I asked Maciej Binotto, the new CEO, CTO at the Sauber organisation, that of course will become Audi in 2026, as we well know, exactly that question as to whether he'd had any conversations with Zak Brown over the hiring of Bortoleto, and more specifically, bearing in mind the rumours that Williams want £20 million or 20 million euros, whichever currency you want to operate in, for Franco Colapinto to join the Red Bull organisation, whether Bortoleto had cost Sauber/Audi any money in terms of compensation. No, not a penny. So it looks like a good deal has been done there between those two organisations. Sauber certainly seems, or Stake F1, again, which way you want to call it, certainly seems like, exactly, certainly has a good deal on its hands. It's got a good driver on its hands. We know that Bortoleto is proven in the lower categories.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether you think that Valtteri Bottas should have had that seat, because I think he would have been more of a preference than Zhou Guan Yu, if the Sauber/Stake team had decided to go for yet more experience alongside Nico Hülkenberg for next season, it has decided to go for yet another rookie on the grid in 2025. Quite a collection now we're building up for next season. Bortoleto, as you say, leading this year's Constructors' Championship. 2 rounds to go in Qatar and Abu Dhabi. 2 sprints, 2 feature races. Is he going to be distracted from that? I doubt it very much. He's going to be now his career, now his future is sorted for next season. You can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to be single-minded on now going into or coming into F1 in 2025 as the F2 champion.
Absolutely. And for those who are wondering where I am, because it's not obviously in my office with the dartboard behind me, for those obviously who follow Racing News 365 on Instagram, you'll know that I am at the Jarama circuit just north of the Spanish capital of Madrid, formerly pre-season testing. Actually, FE testing is done. Behind me is the FE women's test, the first ever FIA championship to run an all-female test. So a historic moment right now. And comically, actually, the timing, the running has been incredible. We've actually got our first red flag has just happened, which is unique timing. But anyways, they're only a couple of seconds off the pace of the FE drivers, which based on no experience of this pace of the cars is pretty spectacular. Ian, the thing is though, with Bortoleto getting the Stake F1 seat, of course, it means that Bottas and Zhou are basically out of an F1 full-time seat. And realistically, it's going to be really, really hard now for either of them to find a way back onto the grid in the future.
Yeah, whenever both have been asked about whether they've got options in the background, Zhou Guan Yu in particular for quite some period of time said he was totally focused on staying in Formula One. That option has now gone, as we well know. What's open to him? Well, he did, when it was getting push come to shove and we were getting closer to a decision being made, he then did reveal that there were potential options on the table. As to what those options are, we don't have much of an idea yet. He nor his management have come out and said anything, so watch this space to see where Zhou might end up. As for Valtteri, the one obvious link that has been mentioned over in recent times is, of course, him becoming third driver at Mercedes, so returning to his old stamping ground and helping the team there. As we know, it's going to be a new partnership at Mercedes of George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. So Valtteri's experience, I'm sure, alongside George now, who's got a good few years under his belt in Formula One, those two coming to the fore, if that is the move for Valtteri, will be able to help another rookie on the grid in Kimi Antonelli next year.
And of course, the other talking point, and I mentioned it at the top of the show, is there 1 seat left to fill or is there 2? Of course, officially, the one left to be filled is the RB seat alongside Yuki Tsunoda. However, not for the first time this season, there are rumours about the second Red Bull seat, obviously taken currently by Sergio Perez who does have this 1+1 year contract. And the rumours involve a certain, Argentine sensation, it's fair to say, based on how much he's become loved by the Argentinian fans who have just swamped over to Formula One, as seen in Sao Paulo, despite his heavy crash. Franco Colapinto, Ian, is he off to Red Bull?
There is a very good chance, I've got to say, Nick. As I mentioned at the top of the show, as you rightly introduced just there, there is apparently Williams demanding £20 million in compensation for that young man. That's an awful lot of money. Is it Red Bull? Are Red Bull going to stump up that kind of cash?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, they've got an engine program to think about for 2026. Yeah. They're currently in the throes of building its own wind tunnel, or building a new wind tunnel, because as we know, its current wind tunnel is World War II, as Christian Horner has often used the phrase to describe it. But the one saving grace for Williams and that £20 million compensation figure is that, okay, let's remove Checo Perez out of the equation. Let's say he's going. Of course, if he left, he would be going with an awful lot of Mexican sponsorship money behind him. That's been one of the key aspects that's helped Red Bull, shall we say, over these past few years, is that with Checo on board, they've got a lot of Mexican sponsors that have come in.
Yeah.
So what's the offset here if Checo goes and Franco comes in, plus that £20 million compensation? Wow. For one thing, Williams, as we know, has been swamped with offers, with Argentine sponsors wanting to come in and back their man, bearing in mind he's the first Argentinian driver on the Formula One grid for many a year. First Argentinian driver to score points since 1982 with Carlos Reutemann in the South African Grand Prix. And they have been falling over themselves. I remember James Vowles, when I asked him about Franco coming in, and he said at that particular time, this is only after about 2 or 3 races, and he said at that particular time that this phone was ringing off the hook with Argentinian sponsors, big name brands in South America, wanting to come on board and get behind their man effectively. So you can imagine that, yes, Red Bull on one hand would lose a lot of sponsorship money with Checo Perez going, and of course it would have to try and find this £20 million fee. But on the other, you feel certain that, given the way Red Bull negotiates behind the scenes, it would be more than able to, A, not only make up for lost sponsorship revenue with Checo going, but B, be able to make sure it could pay that £20 million compensation figure as well. As you say, not the greatest of weekends for Franco in Sao Paulo last time out. Really difficult weekend, 2 crashes there on the same day, one in qualifying, one in the race. But before that, he has certainly proven himself, and he does seem to be in the running. Now, if he got that seat, you would almost figure then that RB would likely remain in situ with its current driver lineup of Liam Lawson alongside Yuki Tsunoda. That you would assume would come as a major disappointment for Liam, because we've talked in many discussions in our updates in our podcasts about Liam potentially going to Red Bull as teammates of Max Verstappen next year, therefore leaving a spare seat at RB. Who could fill that? Isaac Hadjar is a good name, of course. He's in the running for that F2 title alongside Bortoleto, of course.
Yeah.
So that would be the logic behind that particular move. But right now, Franco Colapinto to Red Bull looks a good shout.
It is a story which is very much worth keeping an eye on Racing News 365. And of course, for those who are watching this video, let us know in the comment section below if you think Colapinto to Red Bull, or the Red Bull family in general, would be a smart move, both on Red Bull's part, but also on Franco's. Make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe to the Racing News 365.com channel. Ian and I will see you on Monday for the podcast. See you later.
Have a good weekend, folks. Take care until then.